Are you a fan of Souls-like games, or perhaps you're interested in trying one out to see what all the fuss is about? Well, recently Black Myth: Wukong, one of the most anticipated upcoming games, has had tons of new information dropped for it, including extra gameplay details, a trailer, and a release date. We're actually super excited for this one because the early impressions were very positive. Everything we've seen is looking pretty awesome, so do let us know what you're thinking about it. And now let's get into the details. We have a load of juicy information, but the first thing is that we finally actually have the release date for the game. Black Myth: Wukong will be launching on the 20th of August of 2024, which means it won't be too long away before we actually get our hands on it. We're just happy to hear that the game will be launching in the later half of 2024 for two reasons: because it gives the team more time to polish the game, and more importantly, the first few months of 2024 are stacked with games like Granblue Fantasy Relink, Dragon's Dogma 2, Persona 3 Reload, and more. And it is great that all of these longer-awaited games are finally dropping, even if it is super close together. Here's an overview of the game since we now know more about it. Black Myth: Wukong is an action RPG with a format that is similar to Souls-like games. Think about crazy, epic boss fights, very purposeful combat, and even shrines that act as checkpoints. What sets this one apart from other Souls-like games is its actual setting, which is all about the classic Chinese tale, A Journey to the West, and we as players will get access to crazy abilities and even awesome shape-shifting powers. The actual Steam page has the full information of the game now, so let's go over some extra details on there. The game is an action RPG rooted in Chinese mythology. The story is based on Journey to the West, one of the four great classical novels of Chinese literature. You will set out as the destined one to venture into the challenges and marvels that await. This is one thing that makes the game so interesting, is its awesome backstory and setting, which bleeds into the whole game, from the awesome graphical presentation of the world and the actual combat itself, as well as the characters. We've seen some really crazy looking creatures, NPCs, and bosses, which really makes a stark contrast to other fantasy games where you do encounter a lot of sort of normal armored warriors. This one is looking quite unique in that aspect. One of the major highlights of Journey to the West is its diverse cast of adversaries, each with their unique strengths and powers. As the destined one, we shall encounter powerful foes and worthy rivals throughout our journey. So we do know that there will be a ton of different monsters and bosses that we can battle, and we actually got to see a bunch of them in the various trailers that are out for the game. We know that they will come in a variety of different sizes and shapes and appearances, making the game look pretty cool, as we have seen massive lightning-wielding dragons, poison-spitting bugs, and a smaller but very capable-looking Tiger Warrior boss as well. The new trailer was also packed with even more never-before-seen bosses, as we got to see bosses that resembled spiders, crabs, and even bears. It's great to see that there's a bunch of variety and creativity in these bosses, as for any Souls-like game, seeing a boss for the first time and actually fighting it and beating it is one of the most enjoyable parts. But luckily, to take on these crazy bosses, we will have some incredible powers because we are playing the heroic monkey himself in Black Myth: Wukong. The Steam page says there's spells, transformations, and magic vessels in all manifestations. This is important because these have been iconic combat elements in Chinese mythology. Because we play as the destined one, aside from mastering the various staff techniques, we will also freely combine different spells, abilities, weapons, and equipment to find the winning formula that will best suit our playstyle. In some of the previous trailers, we've actually seen how crazy some of these abilities and spells will be that we as players will have full access to. If you're a fan of something like Naruto, then you will probably be a fan of the Pluck of Many. This summons a bunch of clones around you that you can then get to attack enemies or the boss for you. In addition to this, we've seen that there will also be a freeze ability that can even work on bosses to help you rack up damage. And you'll also have an after image dodge step that will really help us out in those tricky situations. Based on the Tales of Wukong, it's meant to be up to 72 transformations and abilities that we will have access to, which just makes the game even more exciting. From the recent gameplay demonstrations, we got to see that the player will have access to 4 abilities at a time, so we will have to choose them wisely. Alongside our abilities and transformations, we will also have our staff that actually has different form stances and can even change in length. The combat in the game will have a rhythm to it, which will allow us to change between light and heavy attacks, which will also visibly change the staff. The different forms include smash form, pillar form, and thrust form, which serve different gameplay purposes. For instance, the thrust form will give you more range for those hard to reach bosses or enemies. Now, we haven't been able to play the game for ourselves yet, but we do know from other people's hands-on impressions that the combat seems to be one of the best parts of the game. It's nice to finally have some proper information out for Black Myth: Wukong, as well as the release date to look forward to, as it feels like we've been excited for this game for quite a while now, and now we finally have the release in sight. It is still unknown if the game will actually be good or not, because we haven't played it yet, but we are hopeful that it will be good because it has loads of different things that are pointing in the right direction. But with all of that said, we will be remaining cautiously optimistic until we actually finally get our hands on it. If you haven't seen the latest trailer though, we've got it here ready for you. But do tell us in the comments, what do you think of this game so far? Is it a hit or a miss for you? And make sure you're following to stay up to date on this game, as well as to get daily gaming videos in your sub box.
Fades through time in tombs of somber gray. You too want to be an immortal?
Master, are there more good folks in the world or bad?
More good, of course.
Then why is there always suffering? And why do the bad folks always win?
Because goodness without teeth punishes not. It only foments evil. Cleanse the world with blood and grow lotuses in it. That is your destiny.
I, the Keeper of the New West, welcome the Destined One.
The Destined One who doesn't even know what he's destined for? Those old rascals, they surely know how to name.
Tell me then, is my kind destined for extermination? You're driven by grief, not destiny.
So this is the face of the Destined One. It will fit me just as well.
Bathed in blood, yet preaching peace. Oh, you immortals, pray enlighten me. What justifies your superiority? Such a destiny. Do you still want it?